Hello and welcome to another episode of Attacking Third, a CBS Sports soccer podcast. I'm Sandra Herrera, lead NWSL writer for CBS Sports. Joined today, as always, by my colleague and co-host Lisa Roman, NWSL analyst and broadcaster. On today's episode, we have a special interview episode for everyone, but a quick reminder to follow us on Twitter at Attacking Third. Plus, you can head on over to our YouTube page and hit subscribe to youtube.com/Attacking Third. Today, we're joined by Angel City FC head coach Freya Coombe. First time on the show, so welcome. We're so excited to have you today.
Thanks so much. Thank you for the invitation.
Well, congratulations, I think, is in order first, right? First on the new head coaching gig, right? Making it through the trade window, making it through expansion draft, making it through NWSL draft. It's been a very busy time for you and Angel City FC. How are you feeling, and where are you joining us from? Maybe to let people know how you could be feeling at this moment.
Yeah, I was just explaining that I'm feeling a little bit jet lagged. I've just arrived in London after flying out from Los Angeles at some point yesterday, but I've kind of lost on the hours. So a little tired, and that maybe explains the kind of week that we've had, but at the same time, just really excited. As I put out yesterday as a little Instagram message, it's like, we have players now. It's like, yes, it's like finally we have a team, and a decent amount of players. And what's been really great is the reception that the players that we really believe in that are going to be able to take this club forward, that the fans have been really behind as well. So that part's been really exciting.
Very, very busy week and a busy time for you, Freya. And as you mentioned, that roster, it's coming together. And before we dive into it all, as Sandra mentioned, this is your first time on Attacking Third, so we have to welcome you, but we also have to take it back a little bit. So when this expansion club was announced in Los Angeles, coming to the NWSL, and these conversations started between Angel City and you about the head coaching position, there were conversations, there were decisions, and now here you are, head coach of this new club. What really drew you to Angel City?
Yeah, obviously it was very hard to leave Gotham, and that was a decision that was really tough to take because I think, the club was really growing and just the trajectory has completely changed since the rebrand and continues to, again, keep that upward trajectory going with great trades and really good intentions from sort of the new leadership from Yael in there and obviously Scott as well. So they're doing as they would do, and as we got sort of told about it, doing a great job. So that was like very difficult, but what drew me to Angel City was everything that they were doing in the community that was outside of the field. Like, we knew that they were going to be a force to be reckoned with on the field, but it was really all the investment that they were putting into the community, like having their own street team that go out into the community, work with the community, constantly looking to help on initiatives, drive initiatives within the community base. And that spoke volumes to me, and especially my background of working in that's where I started, football in the community, working in youth sport, then going into the academy. So I knew that to have this growing fan base and this crazy amount of fans that we've got at Angel City, and that's largely due to the work and the initiatives and the support that's gone into the community. So for me, that part was just so attractive and so great. And then just the mission that they're on in terms of having that impact in not only women's sports, but I think the bigger picture across the world about the role of women in society. So that was really exciting for me to be a part of that journey.
Let's maybe stay with that energy a little bit, because Angel City is really sort of showing itself and introducing itself as more than just a football club, right? It's a brand, it's a culture, it's really becoming an entity in the city of Los Angeles. And when you look at building this club, building out the roster, knowing all of that already about the club, the reputation that they're trying to establish, what are some of the top things that you're looking for as the head coach to continue to build the foundation of the roster?
Yeah, so I think sort of there's the on the field in terms of what I want from each player in terms of their position and how they're going to perform. But what's becoming so obvious is that every time you chat to these players that are coming in and that we've signed, they're so excited to be part of the community work. So that's a huge part of what we're actually looking for too, is these players that are going to come in, going to integrate, going to do work in the community. like speaking to Danny Weatherholt after we signed her, she's so excited to get back to California and then to be involved in the community. Like Jasmine Spencer, the same thing. Like she's just ready to get going in immersing herself in the initiatives that we're doing. And what's great about the club is because of the structure that they've got in place, like these players can also bring their own initiatives that we can then support them on. So it's not just the players helping with the club's ones, it's a reciprocal relationship, which I think is really important. So having those players that want to get in amongst the community, representing LA and knowing what it means to the club and the community to have the club there, but also to the club to have that performance, is kind of all intertwined. So I think that's huge.
You mentioned specifically Danny Weatherholt coming back to California. That is a theme, honestly, throughout your roster. Going back before the NWSL draft, even before the expansion draft, a lot of different trades happening where you started acquiring players, Kristen Press, Julie Ertz, Sarah Gordon, Simone Charlie, a number of players. And with these players coming into your team, how do they kind of set the tone for the roster that you're building?
Yeah, I think, we've got a real mixture. All of those players, I think, send, a message about the impact that we want to have in terms of our playing and our performance, because all fantastic players that, are really going to put on a great performance and be able to compete within the league, but all players that have got some sort of tie to the area or a desire to be in the area because it's closer to home. So I think there's that element which really, we want to be a place where everyone wants to be, and we've had a ton of conversations during the trade windows and during the drafts about bringing players in, and we always ask them, do you want to be here? And that's really important. Or do you want to be wherever the trade may take them? And if the answer is no, the answer is no, and there's no more moving for us. There's no more pursuit of that asset or that player. So I think building around top players with great attitudes that really want to be in the community is our place to go.
So looking at that trade window, then heading into the expansion draft, obviously the chaotic trade window, it altered what the expansion draft was going to look like a little bit, and some would say it altered it in maybe a negative way. I think it altered it in a more fun kind of way. I think it's very important to sort of hear a team like Angel City talk about sort of leading with that, talking about leading with having those conversations with the player and sort of gauging the temperature of the desire to want to be part of the club and play in Los Angeles with you all. And in terms of altering maybe sort of how the expansion draft was going to shape out for you all, with only having perhaps a handful of clubs to select from, but did that maybe alter sort of the targets, right? That's the players that you were hoping to get on to your team, because you made a really excellent pick, in our opinions, I think, for choosing the midfielder and Denny Weatherholt, and then going with forwards like with Spencer and Ismail and Nielsen in the defensive position. So in terms of the players that you actually selected to sort of flesh out the roster, did you know or did you feel like the trades ahead of that in the window maybe impacted things a little bit, or not at all heading into the expansion draft?
Yeah, I think a big part of what we wanted to do was, given that there were two teams, in the expansion with us and San Diego, we wanted to control as much of it as we could. So obviously, if leaving it to the day of the expansion itself, and then you've got two teams picking off everyone's roster, it was going to be a little bit chaotic. And I think there's less opportunity to really have that sort of guarantee of getting the players that you wanted. So our first port of call was to go and try to trade, to try and get the players that we wanted and come to an agreement of clubs where it was in the best interests of all three parties. So each club that was involved in the transaction and the player themselves. So, we tried to do that where possible, and where we knew that players wanted to come to us or we were helping them get home, we took that route, as well as it fitting our needs, because obviously our playing needs are gonna become going to be really important, not just helping to accommodate those players. But so that was a big factor in getting those trades done and not leaving everything to chance. And it was funny sort of watching and listening to the expansion draft broadcast as it went out, and they're like, I can't believe this player's dropped to 7th and things like that. And it's like, well, there's no dropping, because there was only really 2 rosters that we were both competing for, and all the others, it was either one or the other had trade immunity on. You know, and it maybe wasn't official at that time, but that's why, you know, those passes came into play. And we had, you know, some prior knowledge of that. So really there was two rosters. It was Reign and Houston that we were both picking a player off. And we kind of felt quite comfortable where we knew that they were going to go with the Houston roster. So it was like, okay, so we're really competing with Reign. We're in the driving seat, so let's take Reign first. And that informed our, you know, our picking order. And we were fortunate we got everyone that we wanted to get. So we're really pleased with that.
I mean, hindsight's always 2020, especially in that sense. I mean, as media watching it, we were like, what's happening? But of course, after the trades and all the information comes out, it always makes a lot more sense then. So after the expansion draft and all of the trades, your roster was really shaping up. You have a lot of names already for you heading into the NWSL draft and taking your pick of college players. So knowing that the expansion draft and the NWSL draft were just 2 days apart, what parts of your roster heading into the NWSL draft were you still looking to beef up? Was it finding specific personnel position wise, or looking to just add depth at positions?
Yeah, so a big thing for us is we were really comfortable with the players that we've got, where we think, you know, these players are going to have that impact straight away and looking to be our starters within the league. And I think from the NWSL draft, it was like, okay, let's bring in some players that maybe aren't ready to go straight away, but we know that they have a really high ceiling and we see a lot in them for the future. You know, because it's great to build a squad and have 24 to 26 players that can all start and all go, but at the same time, you know, there's only 11 playing at one point. So let's think about our longevity. Let's think about depth. Let's think about how we can trade in and train in some of these, you know, younger players or less experienced players at the same time. So for us, it was about, you know, coverage in some positions, getting players that maybe are a year or two away from really being that impactful starter, you know, that you're having, but knowing that they've got that ceiling, they've got qualities where they're going to be an absolute star in the league, but maybe need time. And some may take more time than others, but we're okay with having that depth in the different positions. But I think going into it, we knew we needed some left-footed players. You know, being able to pick up Claire Emsley, who's been playing on the left but is more of a righty. It was like, okay, let's get some natural lefties in there. So Hope Breslin was a great addition for us there, being a lefty, and having that versatility to play, whether it's in centre midfield or pushing her out a little bit wider, which was great. So we knew we had targets, but just coming in and getting really good people. Been really impressed with Lily Nabet, obviously being a local player too. You know, we wanted to have players that know about California, you know about the community. We're able to come out and represent the community, and obviously a top talent at the same time.
Well, you mentioned a little bit about Hope Breslin, Lily Nabet. Going through the draft, also selecting Miri Taylor. These are all young, new, promising players with a brand new, young expansion side. What are maybe one or two top things you want to try to get out of those players within this first year in the league? Maybe specifically Taylor, since you haven't touched on her quite yet.
Yeah, so Miri is obviously, you know, played in the Champions League with Chelsea already, and you know has come through and has got a great pedigree of being at both Chelsea and Arsenal. And actually, our assistant coach Rob has actually worked with her before at Chelsea, so knows the type of personality, technical ability of her, as well as, you know, us being able to scout her as part of this process. So I think with the players, you know, another thing that we're really looking for is who can come in and make the environment better. So, you know, they're coming in and going to want to, you know, challenge for, you know, time on the field in their first season. But we're really looking at those technical players that can help create a good environment and make the environment better for everyone. So, you know, I feel really happy that these three are going to come in, and they're all technical players, all really good in possession, all really good on the ball, and are going to be able to help, you know, maintain the level of the training environment, as well as growing and learning from the likes of the players that you mentioned earlier, in terms of, you know, a Juliet or Kristen Press, Sarah Gordon, you know, with those players that have got that top experience in the league.
Freya, it's been a long time coming. You did the trades, you did the expansion draft, then the NWSL draft, and you have a roster ahead of you. You have names on a piece of paper. Look at that celebration.
I know, we've got a team.
You have a team. You have names that you can look at, players that you can maybe start getting out the whiteboards, moving players around. So I have to ask, formation, style of plays, anything really jumping out when you look at these names on your team?
Yeah, the biggest one for us is, chatting with our sporting director, and what plan we're going to put in place. Is the biggest message all the way through is being tactical versatility, and being able to be flexible when we're putting out a team on the field. So being able to play different formations, being able to be really flexible with who's playing in those positions within that formation as well, because each player that we've kind of picked up are more than capable in playing in a number of different positions on the field. And I think that's what's going to make us really exciting, because going into each game each week, we might not know who's going to be playing and who's going to be starting in what position, so we can look at how they're performing in that moment, the chemistry between players on the field, the opposition that we're going to face that week, and the matchups. And I think that's going to be incredibly exciting going forward. So, there's that element, but also I'm not going to give too much away right now, right? You've got to have that element of surprise as people are going, what are they going to do next year?
Okay, that's fair. You're not going to get too far into the X's and O's. I respect it. But I mean, the team is still making moves even post the trade windows that came after these events. Making a move for Savannah McCaskill, announcing the signing of Vanessa Galley. So the roster is fleshing out. I mean, is there going to be more moves that are announced from this team? You don't have to give it all away, but maybe a teaser for the listeners and then the fans of Angel City listening right now.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's going to be another present that arrives before Christmas. So I think that part's really exciting. And yeah, I've still got another couple up our sleeve, and I think these ones are going to be great.
I'm excited for it. Well, we always like to close out interviews with a bit of fun with all of our guests who join on here. And for you, Freya, you're coming during a big holiday week, so we're looking for a little bit of holiday fun with you to close out. So we've asked the players specifically on here if it's part of their like training regimens, like pre or post trainings, like if they've had a favorite go-to snack or a favorite meal to dive into. So for you, with the holidays being back home, is there a particular holiday treat or meal you just cannot wait to get your hands on?
So this is right. I'm going to go a little bit into detail here. So every year my family has what we call the dish. So it's like this big plate that's absolutely massive, and it's got lots of individual segments. So you imagine you filled your face with turkey and potatoes and everything, all those sort of high carby, all the trimmings, just like a Thanksgiving dinner. But then we bring out the dish, and the dish is full of candy and marshmallows and English chocolate and everything. And then you literally just lie, with your belt buckle done and opened up a couple of notches. And then it's just just snacking on these treats and the dish. I love the dish.
God.
I'm the most excited about the dish.
So the dish comes after the meal, after you're already filled.
Yeah, so you've had the meal, you've had dessert, and then we usually in our house we play a game as a family and get from the grandmas to the little kids all involved, and something that everyone can play. And then the dish is out during the game, and everyone's just grazing constantly.
Oh my God, I love that. For people who aren't watching this on YouTube and only listening to the audio of this, the way Lisa and I just lit up as Freya was talking about the dish. That sounds delightful. I love that.
Okay, so I want in on this dish. I might need to come to England or something. So there's marshmallows and English chocolate and what is your favorite in the dish?
Oh, I like a marshmallow.
Is it layered?
Haribo. Is it what, sorry?
Is it layered? Is it a layer or is it just all mixed?
No, it's the dish itself has got like different segments. So there's like a circular one in the middle. And I think there's like 7 or 8 around the outside. So each segment has got like a different sweet treat in. And then it's like, the Maltesers come out. It's amazing. And then usually, like, as one segment gets emptied, then another like treat goes in that dish.
Do you home make these, or are these like store bought things?
Oh, store bought. I'm usually
Okay.
in control of it. Like, my sisters will sort out the rest of the Christmas dinner, and I'm the one that flies in at last minute. It's like, what can I do to help? But everything's done, so it's like, I'll get the dish. So yeah, and there's usually some like tangerines or some clementines or something in the middle, trying to be healthy, but they never go.
They're the last ones in the dish.
They gotta have balance, even if it's for show, I guess. Oh, I love it. Well, happy holidays to you and yours, Freya.
We want to see a picture of this dish. Can you like tweet out a picture?
We'll have to.
Yeah,
we have to follow. We have to follow up on it. So I
Attacking Third. I'm gonna tweet at you so you remember, Freya, because I need to see this. I am in on this 100%.
We're gonna need a copy of the photo of the dish and the progress of the dish. Like we might need like phase 1, phase 2 after the game. See how it looks. I love it. Happy holidays to you, Freya, and your family. Happy holidays to everybody listening. I want to thank you once again, Coach, for joining us. Reminder to all of our listeners to follow us on Attacking Third on Twitter. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and anywhere you listen to your podcast shows. You can leave us a 5-star review on Spotify. And if you have any questions for us, you can actually leave us one with a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And Lisa and I will answer it as part of our mailbag segment. We're also available as video, so please subscribe to us on YouTube. Visit youtube.com/AttackingThird. And we hope everybody has a happy holiday indeed. We will be back with more before you know it. For Sandra Herrera and Lisa Roman and Freya Coombe, this was Attacking Third.